I truly believe in my heart if you asked Luka a year ago, oh, you think you'll ever walk through the Mavericks arena as an opponent, he would have told you no. So I think seeing him today, I saw the video of it. I'll probably send you it honestly, but he was walking through and they have all this his stuff up there, and I think he holds a lot of the records for that franchise, or again, like the most points in their franchise in a game, and he has a couple of like the 60-point triple double, some crazy stuff that Dirk never did. And seeing Florida be able to host the banner, I'm pissed about it. Don't ask me about that last play either. I don't know what bro was doing.
Oh,
I love bro, but I know you were scared. Like I'm scared too, but you got to put up a shot. Got to put it
right.
up.
Yeah.
Got to put it up. It's that simple, man. You got to give yourself a chance, even if it's just a one underhanded. Like it's a chance. Math
Mm.
says it could happen. I think this is an important topic to talk about. Obviously, we've had a lot of playoff topics to discuss. We're going to be breaking down, which matters more, right? Star power or depth. What's going on, everybody? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your lovely co-host ZD in the building with CJ. We coming at you guys live on a Wednesday. It's April 9th. Our team's been going head to head the last couple days and in the NBA, so we got a couple things to talk about, CJ. But how you doing, man? How you feeling today?
I'm doing
It's a
good, bro.
beautiful day.
Yeah,
Oh
doing
yeah,
great. Feeling good. Obviously after that win yesterday, I feel a little bit better. How do couldn't just let Lake Show do us like that, back to back games. So glad
you see
that
what I tagged you in?
yeah, yeah,
It's
bro.
like that get back, bro,
It had
for
to,
sure.
bro. But obviously, we'll get into it. But something Luca got ejected and this and that. But obviously, that's you were saying that's not an excuse to lose a game. Obviously, it is
No,
Luca,
no.
but yeah, we'll get into that. But I'm feeling great, bro. Wasn't able to watch the game as much as I would have liked to yesterday. We had shoot days. We shoot on Tuesdays, and everybody was over, so doing shorts, and then we did uh, with the video I was telling you about, a little blind tasting burgers and stuff. So did that, but I
Yeah,
was able to catch the last quarter, so was able to kind of see the 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 effects of Luca getting ejected, pretty much. But yeah, no, I'm doing great, bro. Feeling good. It's my Friday,
ready for
so
this episode?
ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, bro. Man, I've been doing good too. We got a cool episode today. I think we're going to go a little bit deeper into, does star power really impact the playoffs, playoff basketball as much as we really, say it does. And I think, how does depth contribute to the overall success of these teams? And, obviously, the Thunder and Lakers had their battle. What's going on with the Nuggets? Unfortunately, we got to talk about that. So if you're a Nuggets fan, I'm sorry, but yeah, we got a lovely episode. We got some good things to chop it up about. Getting started. I think we competed last night all the way up until the fourth quarter. Whenever Luca got injected, it was super close. I mean, I have it in my notes. It was tightly contested all game. I think it was tied in the third quarter, like CJ had brought up before we hit record. Both teams had 43 points after the first quarter, so I would say both teams came out blazing. We ended up shooting like 46% from deep, which again is another good sign. Headed into the playoffs, I've brought up my gripes on this show about how we can't shoot, and I'm starting to slowly taper off that because I understand that the Lakers have finally found some knockdown shooters, and Gabe Vincent and Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and Dorian Finney-Smith hits timely threes, LeBron hits timely threes, and that's what we're gonna need headed into the playoffs, man. Like I think that's how we won the first game against the Thunder is we really killed them from deep. So if we can continue to do that, that's great. But Luca, I think Luca picked up his first technical in the second. And he had been drawing at the refs pretty much. That's what you guys know. Luka Doncic, he did that on the Mavericks. He still does that on the Lakers. It's nothing really different. But in the second half, whenever he got ejected, I think he was drawing with a fan, and I didn't know it was the guy because we had seen that dude, from last year. I guess it was the same guy, same Thunder fan that was kind of giving him some issues, and he felt the need to say something, and I guess the ref took it personally, and unfortunately, it was the second technical foul, which in the NBA, if you get two techs, you get ejected. So Luka Doncic was promptly ejected. After that, the Thunder went on. I think it was like a 18-4 run. We ended up losing this game by 16 points, but it was a lot closer than the final score showed. And I think, we had a really good rebounding game as well. We competed with them. I know we're a smaller team, but we keep battling on the glass, and I think I'd love to see that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, whenever you lose a player of Luka Doncic's caliber, it's gonna hurt you. And CJ brought up what I had said earlier to him, but you can't really make excuses for that. I think they still got to finish the game with the players we have out there, and we weren't able to do that because we just don't have the juice without Luka in the lineup, and that's something that's going to hurt us in the playoffs. And we'll get into it a little bit later in the show, but our depth is definitely lacking compared to the Thunder's depth. I think they played extremely well. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had 42 points in this game, and I brought it up on this podcast before, so it might sound like a broken record to some people, but for our new people, the Lakers suck at guarding point guards. It's not just Shea. We've gotten killed all year by point guards. I think Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, they don't, they're not always going to get it done. So we usually got to stick Dorian Finney-Smith or Jared Vanderbilt on a solid guard, and I hate to bring the Nuggets up, but the Nuggets are like the worst matchup for us, right? Because they have Jokic, and you got to cover him, but they also have Jamal Murray, who I would say is an all-star caliber type of point guard. So for the Lakers, that's why we've struggled against teams like that. It's because of our point guard defense and the way we guard the pick and roll. And I think Shea just was really able to attack the paint. Jada went 11 to 21, so he had 26 points. And when you get, what is that, 66 points from, your best players, we talked about the Lakers, but same thing with the Thunder. If you get 15 and 25 and 40 from Shea and Chet and J Dub, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think it just speaks to the type of roster they've been able to build this entire year. And you guys know how good the Thunder have been. They have 65 wins on the year, and they continue to look better and better, man. I think Shea brought it up, but it's kind of their get back game, and he felt he took it personal. I could tell. Obviously, he still got his in that first one. I think he finished with like 27 or 26 points, but only going 30 minutes. I think he got some more run last night, and it was a closer game. I think Dagnall. We competed though, man. Like I'm very happy with the way that we showed up, and it's really tough to beat a team back to back, twice, and we were right there with the Thunder for two straight games, and I think I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I think if you're not taking the Lakers seriously as a championship contender, I advise you to think differently because clearly we can compete whenever we're at full strength, and even when Jackson Hayes is in the lineup and everything, and we're still a decent team that can compete in these Western Conference playoffs. So I'm excited to see how we finish the season, bro. Playing against the Rockets or Mavericks tonight, and we'll get into that game because that game is extremely important as well. And I didn't bring that up in the intro, but we play the Rockets or Mavericks tonight, Rockets tomorrow, and then we finish with the Blazers on Sunday. Rockets on Friday, Blazers on Sunday. So those are the last two games of the season. Hopefully we can win this game and then the game against the Blazers. The Rockets have been playing some of the best basketball in the NBA, so I wouldn't be surprised if they gave us a hard time. But outside of that, I think we'll be able to finish the season with 50 wins. And like I said on the last couple podcasts, that's a testament to our grit and strength throughout the year and adding all of these new pieces, firing Darvin Ham and getting JJ in there, and him honestly getting 50 wins is a testament to his work ethic as well and being prepared and having these guys ready to play. And the midseason trade, it's tough. We're playing Anthony Davis tonight. It's really the first time that we're going to get a look at him against the Lakers, and really a weak interior defense, and I'm sure he's going to score 40 points. So that's definitely something we'll talk about later in the betting segment. But
Mm-hmm.
super exciting game tonight against the Mavs. Super emotional game. We've played a lot of games over the last 10 days, I would say, and I think guys are ready for a rest. But we got to go out there and get this win, man. No excuses. I think even right now, I'm not feeling extremely excited about having to play the Rockets and what happened last night. But overall, I think our team is sitting, my team, the Lakers, are sitting in a good spot going into the playoffs. And, yeah, whenever you don't have Luka Doncic in the lineup, it gets tough. And I don't want to make excuses, but the Thunder, the way that they play, the pace that they had, I think it just, again, their game plan was perfect. I think iHeart had an amazing block on Dalton Connect. him holding down the paint and just doing his thing. It's just tough for us, man, to deal with the two big lineups. So I don't know if you have any other extended thoughts on it outside of that. I know you didn't get a chance to watch. I got a chance to watch the second half, but yeah, I think again, point guard defense. Our 3-point shooting was great. Just our continued excellence throughout the year. It just speaks to how we've been able to get here.
Hmm.
So I'm extremely proud of the Lakers this season for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
we're
Like
winding down, so
no,
it's
yeah,
tough. Like there's not many games left, but reflecting, looking back, like I'm proud of them for sure.
yeah, yeah. I don't have much to say, bro. Just like I said, we've been talking. I respect all our teams, but respect the Lakers, and especially just hearing you talk about them all season, and has kind of given me a different light on them. Like never thought they were like trash or nothing, but just even through the ups and the downs, you've always said that they've been a playoff team, and they are, bro. Obviously, the seeding and their record shows it, but just kind of seeing what they become with getting Luca and all the changes y'all have gone through with a different coach, it's dope being able to see y'all be successful. Because it could have been reversed. It could have been a completely lost
Right.
season. I think I asked you that at one point if it felt like if it was going to be, and you're like, no, I still believe we're a playoff team. We're still quality. All the trades that y'all did, like y'all have had a really good season, bro. So like you said, getting 50 wins would be a huge accomplishment, and it's dope being able to see that. But I just wanted to bring up, because I got to rep the boys. This was our 51st double digit win, which broke the record of the 1971-72 Lakers. So huge accomplishment that hadn't been done in 50 years, 50 plus years. So shout out to the boys, man. I don't, I've been talking about them all year. Obviously, they're my squad, but just it's dope being able to witness history. Of course, like I always feel like I talk about it, right? Like stuff that's happening in the moment, we really don't appreciate it, but I'm so appreciative of this. Regardless of of course, I want to see them win a chip. I want to see them make it to that far, but if we don't, knock on wood, but it was a great season regardless. So, like you said, kind of winding down, not really much to talk about. Pretty much all the teams, especially um, my team in specific, like we already kind of have that first seed lock. So it's kind of I didn't think Shea's out for this next game, which kind of makes sense. I don't no reason to really keep him
Yeah.
playing. He
They
meet
might
the
be out the rest of the
rest of
year.
the year, yeah, because he met the game requirements. We already locked up the first seed. There's really
Oh,
not much, you know what I mean? So, but no, besides that, bro, yeah,
yeah.
just it was a great game. Like you said, the score doesn't reflect how close it was. Obviously, like you were saying, it was pretty much head to head the whole up to the third, fourth quarter, So, but it was great, bro. Yeah, I can't
I
really complain.
I also hate to bring this up like before we get into it in a second, a little bit later, but like I just think people are kind of shocked what happened with the Nuggets. So I feel like they're kind of like, oh shit, like the Nuggets are a serious problem. I think for the Thunder as well, but for sure for the Lakers. But Mark Daigneault, JJ Redick, certain coach like. I think there's certain minds in the NBA that think a certain way. Mark Daigneault is one of them. JJ is definitely one of them too. But I think they smell blood in the water. They're not basically that's why they're gonna rest Shea, and I'm sure they'll rest after. Honestly, we might even rest Luca and LeBron. Try to
Mm-hmm.
go beat the Blazers with Austin Reeves and a couple other guys. Like I
Mm-hmm.
could definitely
See
see
that?
that happen. So it depends, man. But I think the Thunder have been like the best team we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. Obviously, the last decade we've had the 73-9, so I'm not going to speak on that. If you want to say that's the best team, that's cool, but
Right.
I've watched all year. Their net rating speaks for itself. Also, CJ just brought up that NBA record. They've set pretty much every franchise record, and then hopefully Shea gets the MVP, and they'll have. I
They'll
think
have
all
that.
defensive team is solid too. Like they're gonna have a lot of accolades, bro. The Thunder have been awesome. It's I was listening to the Hoop Collective today and they were talking about it, and Brian Windhorst was like, "Oh, we're not gonna talk about the Thunder. Like they're they're the Thunder.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, they're the Thunder for sure.
Right.
Like I think
Yeah.
Bontemps was talking about it. He was like, "Oh, we don't need to bring it up because they just win."
Right. Yeah.
So
Facts.
find a way to get it done. So I think you brought it up on this podcast. There's been a couple games, the Clippers game, the Cavs game they lost, where you were like extremely, kind of disappointed. They didn't even lose the Clippers game. I think they had won, but just the way that they played, it was like not up to standard. But they've only had a couple of those games. I think against the Rockets too, against the
Rockets. Yeah.
Lakers. They've had a few duds, but
Warriors.
other than that, yeah, Warriors. Other than that, there's been I can't think of a team like more than five teams that have given them trouble. I think there's like three or four, but outside of that, the NBA's been wide open for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wide
Yeah, bro.
open. Yeah.
Can't complain, man. Like I said, not much to
No,
talk
yeah.
about. You know what I
Right.
mean? But just, I've been telling it to you all season. I've been saying it for everyone that's been listening. Just ready for the playoffs now. That's where my mind's at. That's why
So yeah,
seeing Shea out, like, I was like, yeah, for sure, get that rest, bro. We need you for the playoffs. That's when it really matters now. So
yeah. What are your thoughts on who do you think is going to win this game against the Lakers or Mavericks? I know it doesn't matter for your team, but it matters
no,
for
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah. No,
Mavericks and Lakers fans.
I think y'all are gonna win, bro. I think y'all get this dub. It's definitely tough coming off this back to back, especially everything that happened yesterday. Like you said, emotional night last night, and gonna be a huge emotional night for not even just like y'all, but for the Mavs too. Like AD's probably gonna, like you said, probably drop crazy. Like, and we'll get into that betting
He
slip because
will. He
yeah.
will.
So
Yeah, he
it's gonna
will.
be good, but I think it's gonna be. I think y'all are gonna win. It's probably gonna be a little close, pretty much the whole
Mhm.
game, and it might get to where it was like this game, kind of gets a little out
Yeah.
of hand. But
Super cool moment here in NBA history, but I truly believe in my heart if you asked Luca a year ago, oh, you think you'll ever walk through the Mavericks arena as an opponent, he would have told you no. So I think seeing him today, I saw the video of it. I'll probably send you it honestly, but he was walking through and they have all this his stuff up there, and I think he holds a lot of the records for that franchise or, again, like the most points in their franchise in a game, and he has a couple of like the 60-point triple double, some crazy stuff that Dirk never did, and it's sad that I don't. I was going to ask you this: the Mavericks will not retire his jersey, correct?
yeah, I don't think they will.
So that's sad. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got asked that today in his intro presser. I think they've been killing him, but I know the Mavericks. Shout out the Mavericks new like media team. They're fire, but I know they definitely grilled him today on some of those questions and how are you feeling about the game? Are you nervous? Blah blah blah. And I think he had a few nonchalant answers, but I think he just wants to get out there. But I wanted to bring this up. I think it's AD. Today's. I think Luca. We all know Luca, but I think Anthony Davis. He's never been in this situation before. Being blindsidedly traded. He didn't really have a choice of where he wanted to go. I think he's going to play with some fire. I think he's going to play energized tonight. It's the first time that he's playing against the Lakers and LeBron James and obviously Luca too as well. But I just know his competitive nature. He's from Chicago. There's very very little that's going to be lost between the lines whenever he goes out there. So I think they're playing for the play-in. Obviously, they've kind of wrapped it up, but I think they want to get a statement win tonight and show their culture and their fan base like we don't need Luka Doncic as much as
Hmm.
that sounds crazy. And um, yeah, man, I'm excited. I think once again, there's been a lot of shakeups in the West. Other teams are kind of reacting to other teams right now, and um, Nico Harrison was in the building. uh, Definitely a cool moment. I think those guys will have bad blood for the rest of their careers. And anytime the Lakers play the Mavericks, I think you're going to get a ton of juice, especially over the next 3 to 5 years, with Kyrie still being there and obviously coming back. And I know me and CJ wish he was playing tonight, but he cooked the Lakers. He cooked the Lakers, without Luca, and it was tough because Luca's definitely. I think he helped Kyrie a ton, but Kyrie's the man. I don't think they need Luca really whenever he's playing at the level that we know Kyrie can play at. I think he was averaging 30 before he got hurt. And so you put that with Anthony Davis, they definitely got some stuff. They got Max Christie and they got some other pieces, but It's interesting, man. I'm praying for the Mavericks fans. Obviously, you guys have still had a pretty good season for I would say, these tragedies that have happened. Um, but in no way, shape, or form are you guys winning tonight. I think LeBron James has a plan. Luka Doncic has a plan. These guys have been here before. It's not a playoff game, but it's a playoff. It's a big moment. It feels like a playoff game, and I know those dudes love playing in those types of environments. So I'm excited, man. I think the Mavericks are they're definitely a sneaky team. I don't feel like they can compete, obviously, for a finals, but whenever AD's in the lineup, anything can happen. And they're sitting in what 10th place right now, so they have a lot of hope, and I think
Hmm.
they're gonna make the play in for sure. And we'll see. I don't know. Derek Lively's gonna come back. I don't know about Gafford, but I do know when AD's in the lineup, he's their go-to guy. And that game winner against the Hawks, bro, it's like
Hmm.
that sticks out of my head. Like I'm like, all right, AD can definitely play against these teams who don't have a center, bro,
Yeah.
because the Hawks don't have anybody that can guard that man, and we for sure don't either. So
Mm-mm.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Maybe we double him. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a big game, man. Like you say, it's gonna be like playoff atmosphere, so it's gonna be dope to see because all these games matter for everyone in the West, pretty much, you know. So it's gonna be crazy, bro.
Yeah,
It's gonna be dope.
yeah, for sure.
Excited to watch
There,
that.
people got one eye on the court, one eye on the standings.
Standings, yeah,
Yeah,
bags.
like they're like, oh shit, maybe if this team loses, we don't gotta win. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like
Bags.
we'll see. I think this is. It kind of reminds me of like you said, you brought up baseball and soccer, but there's times at the end of the season where like the games really do matter, and I think this is happening in the Western Conference. You're gonna see guys going out there and playing, and then the next day not playing because a certain team lost or whatever. So now they're going to the playoffs, and it'll be interesting for sure. So if you're betting, be careful. I was going to say that be careful because you might
Mm-hmm.
get, oh, well, it said Shea was in, but now Shea is out, or they said this person's in, whatever. But yeah, just be careful because that's how they get you. You don't want to light money on fire. But
Mm-hmm.
speaking of lighting the kitchen on fire, what's going on with the Nuggets, man? What's the deal with that? With for people who may not know, yesterday in the morning around
Yeah.
11:30 Central in Texas, we get a notification. Da 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 da. Sean Serrania on the report, so it's not cap. He's kind of becoming a new Woj. I got a question for you, man. How you feel about Shams this season? Did he put up wilt numbers like Amir
Yeah.
Khan?
Yeah, bro. I
Luka
think he.
Doncic. They said he put up wilt numbers, bro.
I
They
think
said they had
he.
the Popeyes meme.
Where he's like, she's like outside, just yeah, yeah, bro. No, he's killing it, especially because obviously Woj and Shams were the two. Now Woj is out of the game, so Shams is
I don't
literally
know how. By the
stepped up to
way,
the
that
plate.
shit's still shocking to me. I
Yeah,
cannot believe Wojnarowski. We don't see Woj bombs anymore. That shit
no,
is
it's
so.
crazy.
Shout out
But no,
Shams for sure,
yeah,
but
shout out Shams. He's been
um,
killing it, bro.
Michael Malone fired. Calvin Booth fired. 3 days before the end of the year, we got I think 4 more days of basketball, bro. Like I think till Sunday.
Hmm.
Sunday's the last day for everybody. I think they have. I haven't checked the schedule just yet. I think everybody goes Sunday
Hmm.
because it's the last day of the year, so they'll have all 30. So yeah, I think wow is all I can
Yeah.
say to that. The timing is what's baffling to me, and I read that and I thought I was living again. I've seen a couple notifications where it's made me think I'm living in a fairyland or fairy tale world. Like what's going on with this? Obviously there were some conversations that we didn't know were going on between them and the owner. Did you see what their owner said after? Kind of just go out there and have fun. We hope you guys can figure this out and win a title. I'm like, shit, man,
Damn.
like that's a lot of pressure to put on Nikola Jokic and the rest of that roster. So, what do you think about that decision? Obviously, Michael Malone is definitely a coach that he's going to be in this league.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's
He's
one
gonna
of
be
the
on a
most
team.
coveted. Yeah, he's not going to coach for the Nuggets, but he's going to coach for another team. So, how does this make you feel? What are your reactions? Obviously, you were in the chat with me, so I kind
Right.
of saw it. But for
Yeah.
the audience, how you feeling?
Yeah, bro. It was just so I was actually working. I had like went to the bathroom, was checking my phone, saw what you and shout out to the boy Cam. We're in a little group chat. He sent it, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Let me scroll up a little bit. Clicked on it. Michael Malone fired. My first reaction was just like, "What the fuck?" And then, wow. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, for what? For what reason? Obviously, we don't know everything that happens behind closed doors. We don't know what was being said, this and that. But
Right, right.
it blows my mind because kind of going back to the whole Luka trade. It's like no one's safe. You know what I mean? If someone that just took y'all to a championship, won a championship 2 years ago, y'all are having a great season this so far this year. I mean, I would say the year's over, so y'all had a great season. Y'all are fighting for third seed potentially, and there's, like you said, there's only 4 games left, 3 games left, whatever it was at the time, and you fire your head coach and your GM. It just blew my mind. I just don't know why. Don't really understand the
So
reasoning,
bad.
even if there
Yeah.
was a reason. Just because it's like he's proven that he can get y'all to the mountaintop.
Over the
So
hump. Yeah.
yeah, it blew my mind, bro. Because the Nuggets hadn't done that before in a very long time, and it just
I have
someone
some trivia
to
for
that to
you.
that to that caliber of a coach, like you said, he's gonna be still
He's
coaching in
gonna
this
be,
league,
yeah.
not on the Nuggets, but he'll be on a team next year, and it's like, what was the reasoning? That's, I guess that's really all I want to know. But like, I even if I find out a reason, I feel like it won't be a reason to do what they did, especially at the time of the year. It just, I don't know, man. That's just more so shocked. I guess that was my initial reaction, just because, like I said, no one's safe at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just did what all head coaches are trying to do in this league, and they end up firing you 2 years later. Like, yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's mind blown. Really, no one's safe in this league, is what it seems like. And Cam was saying, like, I just don't understand, like, the NBA head coaching and this and that, like all the movement that has happened on. And I'm right there with him, bro, because I'm about as lost as him, and I actually keep up with the whole season. Not saying that he doesn't, but like obviously we're like 50 episodes deep, so like we talk about it for hours, and
Yeah, right, right.
I don't even understand it. So just, yeah, bro, it blows my mind. I don't know. Hopefully I don't even know who their interim coach is. Let me look it up real quick, but
I was,
hopefully he can figure that out, because I would say this is probably the hardest time of year to be a interim head coach. And obviously Jokic is wanting to go out there and win a chip, so I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't even David Adelman is the interim, so hopefully
mhm.
he can
So
figure it out.
I have some trivia for you. Can you name me the top three highest tenured coaches in the NBA? So they've been with their teams the longest.
What was it, Michael Malone, before he got fired?
It was not, but
It
he's
was
the
not.
fourth. A
Okay.
good guess.
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
Popovich.
Number one.
Kerr.
Yeah, number two.
Um.
This last one's kind of hard, but it's obvious. Like you'll get it, but it's hard
Okay. Ooh.
because you have to think
Yeah, I gotta think. Give me a sec.
for sure. I feel like it's a good question to ask surrounding this topic because Malone had been there for forever. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
shocking.
Oh, Spolstra.
There you go. Yeah, so you got it. You got all four right there. I don't know who's the fifth. I forgot when I looked at it, but you got the top three. Yeah, Coach Spo right there.
Okay.
All three of those dudes at the top obviously won't lose their jobs no matter really how their teams are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Michael Malone was the same, so I brought that up.
Mm.
No matter how the Nuggets were doing,
Yeah.
so even if they that they did 30-52 this season, I didn't see a world in which he got fired because, like you said, he's brought them to the mountaintop, got them over the hump, and he has the most franchise. I don't know if you brought this up, but he has the most franchise coaching wins in NBA history for the Nuggets. Obviously, a super super impactful guy on and off the court, but supposedly there was like something he did with the players. He's playing Russell Westbrook over like Straw there and a couple other younger guys. The owner didn't like that. Um, And I think Russ has had a great year, so I'm kind of confused because
Yeah.
I think honestly he's proven that he's still a top 100. I would say Russ is he's at the further end of a top 100 player, but he's there. He's one of the
Right.
better guys in the NBA coming off the bench for you, and he can start. So Russell Westbrook's still decent. I don't see the issue with that, but I get wanting to play the younger guys. But even to me, that shouldn't signal firing your head coach with 3 games left. And I think with Calvin too, man. Like Calvin, I know Calvin and Mike Malone didn't get along. I don't know them personally, but from what I've heard from people close to their camp, it's just what it was. And when
Hmm.
the GM and the head coach don't get along, I think the owner kind of was just like, all right, both of you guys are out the door.
Hmm.
I think Calvin Booth was the main person who was the architect behind that championship, building that roster, and obviously KCP, Bruce Brown, they're not heroes on their respective teams now, but they were for the Nuggets, and I think that hurt him a little bit in terms of the respect he had in the front office. I think they've done an extremely good job of drafting really great pieces. Peyton Watson and Straw there, Christian Brown. I'm still kind of confused on why Calvin Booth was let go, but I can understand just from an X's and O's standpoint why that might have been tough.
Hmm.
I'm praying for the Nuggets, man. Nikola Jokic continues to do unthinkable and unimaginable things. I think they'll always be okay whenever they have him on their roster, but we'll get into it in this next segment as well. It all comes down to your depth and the pieces that you can put around your superstars and what that looks like. Uh, and to me, I think they've shattered their foundation. You can't do this whenever a coach is clearly the best option for you right now. I don't know if their interims even uh, has all the skills that Mike Malone does. I don't think they're going to get a Joe Mazzulla situation, right? So
Right.
those are very, very rare, very
Very.
rare, where the interim comes in and does a maybe even better job than the head coach.
Hmm.
But if that happens, more power to him. But I doubt it. So yeah, man, I think to me the Nuggets, what a 5 game losing streak. They're kind of slumping into the playoffs right now. I smell blood, man. Like I'm trying to get these guys out. I don't like Jokic. I hate facing him. I like him as a player, but whenever he's going up against your team, you hate it. So
Hmm.
I don't want to see him at whatever in the playoffs, like whatsoever in the playoffs. I think to me, I'm kind of happy about it, low key, because the Nuggets have torched the Lakers. There's a reason though. Like the Nuggets fans know why. The Nuggets and Lakers have had these playoff battles over the last few seasons, and so that's why I'm low key like, But
Yeah.
it's all good. Not my team.
Yeah.
Y'all's team right now. We
Yep.
fired our coach. We hired our new coach. We traded our player. We got our new like we gone through it like you were saying. So now you guys are going through it, honestly.
Hmm.
And that's what happens in the NBA. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Do I think it was the right decision? Hell no. Uh, I like Calvin Booth. I don't really like him as a person, but I think he's smart. Like in the roster he was building seemed pretty solid to me. Even
Yeah.
getting Russell Westbrook, like I had mentioned earlier, nobody in the NBA wanted those scraps,
Hmm.
right? And the Nuggets took a chance, and they actually were able to turn him into a contributing player. So I think there's a lot of credit that needs to be given to those two guys. But it'll be interesting, man. I think the NBA should look into doing not exit interviews, but some sort of, you know, I know they do that at the end of the year, so they do exit interviews, but I would love to hear some more thoughts and opinions into what was going on behind the scenes, and I think the fans are waiting for that too, a kind of behind the scenes look into like, all right, why did this cat
Hmm.
really get fired? Yeah,
Hmm.
like not to say we deserve those answers, but it would be nice. I'm not
Right.
saying we deserve them, but
Yeah. No,
it would be
definitely.
nice.
Yeah, it's just because it's mind boggling to us. I think that's the main reason. Just like what was your reason? I guess like you say they don't need to tell us. Like you rightfully, it's your choice, but it's definitely going to come up in a lot of like you said the exit interviews, especially whenever it happens, whenever they get out of the playoffs or whatever it may be, it's going to get brought up. So
Yeah, and Coach Malone, the next team he coaches for, I'm sure when they ask about the night, he's like, I'm not there anymore. I'm very, like, he's very,
very yeah.
no, I don't care about that anymore.
Hmm.
This is what I do. Like, you're not going to hear him really give any of his insight. Um, just extremely shocking, bro. But at this point, I'm so like I brought up earlier before we even talked about this, I've been thrown through the washer all year with this stuff, man. So seeing Shams is like not even a shock to me anymore because we've been shocked for the last year, with all these different transactions and things like that. And I'm sure the summer is going to be really difficult for us to keep up with how I'm sure KD will be gone, and there's going to be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For the audience that may not know, I can already kind of foresee it, but it's going to be a mess. And I know Shams is definitely going to be looking like a meme. That's why we brought him up because I he's done a good job, man. Like he's not Woj, but he's Shams. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I be looking like I seen it, bro. He was like, "Oh, the Nuggets have fired their head coach Mike Malone, uh, like effective immediately." So just they're just like, "Oh, let's get you out the door, man, and you have a nice one." Yeah, I wonder how that works with the severance package too, bro. That's got to be stupid. You got to owe me some money.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Got
Yeah,
y'all to
bro.
the playoffs, and now y'all are dipping on me. Like you could have at least done this mid-season, like made the coach work a little more. But they took all his work. They were like, "Yep, great, we're headed to the playoffs. Get you out of here."
Out of here. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Craziness, man, craziness. But yeah, man, super super exciting times in the NBA. I think since the All Star break, we've been blessed with all this crazy stuff, man. I think I don't know if you saw, obviously, too, this national championship game was on Monday, sir. What were your thoughts about that as well? And seeing Florida be able to host the banner, I'm pissed about it. Don't ask me about that last play either. I don't know what bro was
Oh,
doing. I love bro, but I know you were scared. Like I'm scared too, but got to put up a shot. Got to put it
right.
up.
Yeah.
Got to put it up. It's that simple, man. You got to give yourself a chance, even if it's just a one underhanded. Like it's a chance. Math
Mm-hmm.
says it could happen, so you
Mm-hmm.
gotta you gotta put it up. But what were your thoughts on, Walter and him consoling some of the players, and obviously Florida getting the job done?
Yeah, it was like you said, just shout out to Walter. He's been balling out all NC or all the whole tournament, and Florida, man, they hadn't won since I think '07, so it's been a minute, and shout out to them. But yeah, that was kind of I was gonna bring up that last play. I mean, it's one of the it
Right
was like,
there.
yeah, it was right there, bro. And yeah, it just like you said, is just take that shot. That's what all of us as kids have been dreaming of, that type of moment. And yeah, I don't know, like you said, I like that whole roster. Houston is, they always have dogs. And I'm pretty sure we're all scared and stuff, right, in those type of moments. But yeah,
Of
it's
course,
just it just sucks seeing it
I felt
happen like
bad for
that.
it
Yeah,
for
no, for
sure.
sure. Because I'm like, damn, like just shoot that shit. You know what I mean? Like it's there, and he like hesitated, and then yeah,
He
but
just like he just like it kind of slipped in his hand. Like we all make mistakes, bro. It's all good. Like it's
yeah.
not gonna go down in history as like one of the craziest mistakes of all time or anything, but um, definitely to put a bow on our year, man, and just how we've been playing. I'm extremely proud of the Cougars and what they've given us from a basketball perspective, and I think their program is going to be, you know, I'd say a top 10 college program moving forward. I
Hmm.
think the transfer portal guys are going to want to go there. I think the national championship's awesome. I'm sad March Madness is over, but if you're playing in April, you're doing something right. So don't forget that. So, shout out to the Houston Cougars and obviously the Florida Gators for getting it done. Um, I don't know. That game was crazy though. That game
Hmm.
was good. If you guys haven't watched it, definitely just watch a little rerun because they're definitely out now on YouTube for sure. You can definitely pull it up, just watch it, and
Yeah.
solid game, solid
Yeah,
game.
it was
But
really good. Yeah.
yeah, bro. But we're spinning back to the NBA for a second, man. Obviously, the playoffs are right around the corner. I think Sunday is the last day of the NBA. So, I think this is an important topic to talk about. Obviously, we've had a lot of playoff topics to discuss. We're going to be breaking down, which matters more, right? Star power or depth. And this is all going to be discussing these playoff teams. Every playoff team usually has superstars. Um, the question is usually the bench. I think that's where we'll kind of get into the nuance of the conversation. But I was going to ask you, sir, what are some of the more top heavy teams in the NBA that lack depth that you think might struggle in the playoffs? And then obviously we'll talk about the ones who are solid.
Mm, that was a great question. I think I'm looking at the standings right now. I think the the Bucks are very top heavy. Obviously with Giannis, that was like probably the first one
I
that came
agree.
into my. Um, Obviously they have decent role players. They've been winning this year, so it's not like they're bums. But when it comes down to it, playoff time, are they going to be reliable? That's still the question for me, and I think it's been really the question I've had for them the whole season. But obviously, when you have Giannis on your team, top three player in the league, five in the league, depending on who you ask, it's one of those things where kind of like where your questions at, yeah, like star power is kind of what gets you to a certain point, but you also need a good bench come playoff time because they're gonna defenses are gonna lock into Giannis. They're gonna try to box him in. They're gonna try to wall him up. Obviously, he's developed a jumper, so I doubt it's gonna be as easy as it was whenever Miami was doing it to him a couple years ago. But
Right, right.
that's the first team that's coming to my mind. Definitely Denver, bro. I mean, we've been talking about them all season. Same type of situation with the Bucks. Y'all, they have top three player in the league, and bench production has been all right. Has had his moments, like we were talking about Russ earlier. Christian Brown. They've had you know every now and then you'll get like the
Hey, Mike Malone put him in the starting lineup because he said, "What the
right.
like? He's
Yeah,
not even a bench player, bro. Like what the?" So
exactly.
yeah,
But yeah, he's another one of those, or that's another one of the teams. Let's see, let's see. I would say probably Chicago. Obviously,
mm,
they're not a play. Honestly, they don't really have that much star power. We know Kobe White and Josh Giddey are their stars,
they're
quote
solid. They're
unquote. Yeah,
solid.
they're
Yeah, they're
good,
solid.
but I mean, I guess that's not really that good of a pool. But definitely Denver, Milwaukee off the top of my head, and then I guess the Mavs with
Mm,
AD.
yeah,
I wouldn't. I guess they're still in that play-in spot, so I guess they're all one of the teams that that can be brought in the
the
conversation.
Wolves too a bit.
T Wolves, yeah, that's
Yeah, I
another one
feel
I
like
was.
their starting lineup's very solid, but they don't have. I mean, they got Nas, right? Like I think Nas obviously winning that 6 man. I mean, that's like the bench, right? Like he is the bench.
Hmm.
I think they're averaging 32 points a game this season coming from their bench. So the majority of their scoring is being done by Ant, Julius Randle, DiVincenzo. Those are all starters. So, I hope they play Rob in the playoffs, but I don't see it. I don't see it. And also the
Yeah.
Clippers as well. Super top heavy. Kawhi, James Harden do most of their damage. Ivica Zubac, right? Guys that are starting. I think when they run into a situation where if Kawhi, Zubac is off the game, I love James Harden, but he's gonna have to prove it to me for sure. He's gonna have to prove it to me. But I think Kawhi, Ivica Zubac, like those are gonna be the main players in the playoffs. I think James Harden will be like a supplemental piece that gets you 15 to 20 points a game. But bro, their bench looks very bleak. Like they don't
Hmm.
have. They got like decent shooters. I would want to say like there's some good shooters on the Clippers bench, but sometimes I'm like, damn, bro, like where is the offense gonna come from?
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
there's other teams, in contrast to like the Heat, the Warriors, like a lot of these teams, they have players on the bench who are pretty solid. Like
Hmm.
they're not maybe players that like Quentin Post, for example, but I think Quentin Post, shit, he could probably start on the Hornets, the Pelicans, or like one of these bummy teams, like for sure. Like he's
Hmm.
solid. There's a couple other players too that kind of stick out in my head that are like coming off the bench, but they're good. Like Ty Jerome's another good example. Like when he was telling Paolo Banchero, he's like, "Yo, I could start on your else team. Like I could start on
Right.
your else team." Like there's some
Hmm.
truth to that, for sure. Like I definitely think it depends on the type of team you're playing with, obviously. But all these teams are playoff teams, so you're gonna have to make that decision whether or not are we gonna play our starters 40, 45 minutes a game, or can we, go into the bench and be confident that we can play with the 10-man rotation and be okay. Those rotations get real short in the playoffs, dude. So I think some of the teams, like I'm looking at it right now, the Rockets bench scoring too has been extremely low.
Hmm.
Um, averaging like 30 points a game off their bench. And they have guys in their bench that are like young, super good, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard, but I don't think those guys are going to get any run in the playoffs either.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, those are probably the main teams. Like the East is a little bit more of like a circus, I would say. Like it's very the plan is it's a mess, but the East has such top heavy like the
Topics, yeah.
Celtics, the Cavs, yeah. But the West is where all these there's some nuance and it's interesting. I think you bring up a good point with the Nuggets. Unfortunately, um, you guys see the stats. Whenever Jokic goes to the bench, what happens? You know, everything just falls apart,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And yeah, and so that's what happens whenever you have a heliocentric player like that. But it just speaks to their bench or their depth, and I think that's what's honestly, in my opinion, one of the most important parts of like winning playoff games
Mm-hmm.
is the Jason Terrys, like a Michael Finley or Bruce Bowen, like players like that you don't think are gonna help you
Robert
win. Danny
Horry.
Green, yeah, yeah, Robert Ory, guys that you don't think are putting up 30 in the regular season. Well, Danny Green has, I think it's been broken now, but had the finals record for threes made.
He did,
Bro's
yeah.
going out there and just hitting corner three after corner three, and sometimes that's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is my follow up question to you, sir. And now that they've kind of gotten a better understanding of who's lacking depth, you can describe about who's kind of top heavy and who doesn't have a ton of bench depth. But what are some of the teams that interest you from a depth perspective? And do you believe that depth is the reason why you'll win an NBA championship?
Yeah, for sure. Kind of getting into it, bro. Obviously, reigning champs, NBA champs, Boston Celtics probably has one of the best benches in the league. Derek White,
Pete
you know,
Pritchard,
yeah,
yeah,
Peyton
yeah.
Pritchard, everyone on their team, pretty much.
Fournette, yeah,
Yeah.
solid.
And then obviously the Cavs this season, they've been proving us to us. I mean, they with their record showing, and Ty Jerome's the uh, can't think Sam Merrill or not
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Sam Merrill, Max Struess. That's who I was
Dwayne
thinking of.
Wade, Max Strus, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, DeAndre Hunter. They have a stacked bench. So, dumb, and then obviously got to go with a homer pick.
Thunder,
Thunder,
yeah,
Aaron,
yeah, the
Aaron
Thunder.
Wiggins, Casey Wallace, Isaiah Joe, iHeart sometimes coming off the bench, Caruso. Yeah, so kind of piggybacking off of the teams that though those are pretty much all the teams that I think have a solid bench.
Like, yeah, those are the best benches in the
In the
NBA.
league, yeah. Um, I think depth does matter a lot. When it comes to winning NBA championship, I feel like the Nuggets were a great example of that. You know what I mean? Whenever they won, you said they had Bruce Brown, they had KPJ. I think he was starting, but even when he was not coming off the bench or whatever, they had all these players being able to make plays that, like you said, you don't really expect them to because you're so focused on the star. But when you have someone, I think Christian Brown as well, right? He was a part of that team.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was his rookie season. So yeah, that he kind of was on the rise at that time, and when you have those type of players that a team is obviously they know about them, they've seen them 82 games, they have all the film on them, so it's not like they're blind to it, but they're probably just we'll live with that because in come playoff time that is what you have to do. You have to live with one of these bench players potentially dropping 30 on you or having an incredible game from 3 or whatever it may be because statistically when it comes down to it we know that Jokic is going to get a 30-point triple double or he's going to get 15 assists and whatever it may be. So it's like you have to focus your own attention on him and worry about more about the role players seeing what they can do because that is a game changer when it comes to the playoffs. So yeah, I definitely think depth is a
Yeah.
huge part of it. I think that is one of my main reasons why I said that we have a really good shot of making it to finals and then potentially winning it just for that reason alone. Obviously we have Shea, we have J Dub, we have Chet, and kind of everyone else that is coming on the bench has the potential to be able to drop the 20s, you know. So
I was
20,
gonna
30.
say, yeah, the Pistons, the Pacers, like there's a couple teams too that have really good benches. I think the Lakers are more top heavy than depth, but like we
Hmm.
have a mix of both. You know, we have Gabe Vincent, some of
Right.
these guys coming off the bench, Dalton Connect, who can play, but we also don't. So I think there's some teams in the middle.
Hmm.
Um, but I agree with you, man. I think depth is ultimately what leads to winning an NBA championship. And I'd love to see because you named some of them. I'll remember, but you're naming the Thunder, the Pistons, the Pacers, some of these teams with better depth, the Grizzlies, the Warriors. Like, we'll see how they compare to the teams that are top heavy, and you'll see how far that they go. I'm sure the Grizzlies are, the Pistons won't win the NBA title, but they could, right?
Right.
Um, I think it's just about how your bench is able to play in a pressure situation because it's a lot different in the regular season. Even for the Cavs, I think you were bringing that up too. The reason why you didn't have them going to the finals is like you haven't seen their bench play. Like Peyton Pritchard can play in a final situation. Like you've seen it.
Hmm.
So some of those is really it just comes down to getting reps in that certain game environment. But I think having a strong bench is super important because, yeah, like you run in, for example, with the Knicks, like they're going to play their starters 45 minutes. I don't think they'll have even a 7-man rotation. It'll probably be 6 guys out there, one guy coming off the bench most likely, but everybody else is just rotating kind of between positions and everything like that. So we'll see how gassed that they get. But there's a lot of nuanced stuff when it comes to the game in this regard, and I believe that if you have like good depth, you're gonna win a lot more games compared to a team that's just trying to do it all with a superstar. So you brought up with the Bucks. I think they're one of the better examples, but Giannis and Dame, they rely so heavily on them that if they don't have a good game, they're probably going to lose that game, which is fine if you want to structure your team that way. Um, but I think in these playoff situations, having good bench scoring is gonna change the course of some games, and I feel like people are you're gonna see who's an X factor, bro. Like this is where
Hmm.
people like they kind of step up, they show out. You brought up Derek White. I think he kind of made a name for himself in these big game situations, and a lot of legends are made in the playoffs. So just wanted to go through that with CJ, man. Talk about it for a second. Like I feel like it's good to kind of talk about some basketball topics, not even specific to any teams or anything like that, but
Right.
it's something that you guys can listen to, understand, and let us know in the comment section what you guys are thinking. Is it depth or is it top heavy? Which team would you try to build?
Right. Yeah, and I think
100%.
it's kind of like a little contradicting a little bit, and I'll admit it because I said that our benches has been performing great this whole season, and I think that's a huge reason. But at the same time, I'm kind of holding that against the Cavs, So I kind of wanted to like have a little like discussion about that. Like, what is it that obviously that is a valid point that I'm making against the Cavs, but I'm using that same point
Point
as
to
a
make. Yeah,
reason at why I think the Thunder is. So like, do you think it's like you said, it's just the experience? Because obviously, like a lot of
yeah.
our role players and
Our
stuff,
players have been in the playoffs, right? I think it
right?
comes down to a mixture of experience and then just your skill level. Because I think experience at some point, even in the Thunder's case, like they don't have an excuse due to their experience. If the Cavs lose, honestly, nobody's gonna be like, "What the heck?" Like,
Right.
oh, they didn't win the finals this year. Like, it'll
Hmm.
just be another year. But I think the Thunder have the reverse side of that, where the pressure is a lot greater because you have the experience. So I don't know. There's two sides to every coin. Like you're saying, I think we could play that game all day, but it's also skill experience. There's two pools. If you're able to mesh them well enough, I think it can take you further than another team who can't coincide with those two things. So if your
Yeah.
bench is highly skilled but doesn't have the experience, they might fold in a situation where experience is important. If your bench is highly experienced but not very skilled, you'll never win an NBA championship.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
I think
Gotcha.
there's certain nuances, but that's a great question too. I think it's more so experience, but yeah, like I think even Caruso or the iHeart, like the guys that they traded for this season, they've been in the playoffs. They've
Right.
seen that what that looks like and gotten game reps, and yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the Cavaliers bench fares in the playoffs, but I think they'll be okay, bro. That's why I have them where I have them. Like
Hmm.
to me, they've been solid all season, and I think it's just when they get in that sea of red, bro, in Cleveland, like it's gonna be tough to beat them for sure. Like I already know for sure at home, the Cavaliers are gonna be good in the playoffs for sure.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not worried.
Yeah, nah, yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because it's like, damn, like I contradicted myself a little bit, but I just kind of like that is
For sure,
exactly.
for sure.
I think that's kind of what like I was basing it off of because like we've had obviously we didn't make it to like the Western Conference Finals, but we made it to the second round and went against Denver or the Mavericks, and it was a hard fought series. So I think I was kind of probably taking that into consideration because obviously like we said earlier they have Cleveland has like Max Strus, Ty Jerome, who is kind of blossomed into a six man of the year candidate this year, but
Oh, bro.
hasn't really had that much playoff experience. I guess that's why I probably said that. But yeah, it's just kind of like I wanted to kind of like discuss that because like I was like, damn,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I was like, yeah, I kind of I don't want to like look like a fool. You know what I'm saying that that's how it's benefiting us, but like at the same time, it's not
No,
benefiting the
that's a
Cavs.
good point. That's a good point. I think, yeah, for the audience who doesn't know, like the Thunder have experience, bro, for sure. So they're gonna be ready to go. I think the Cavs are a younger team, but they also look solid to me. So I think it's gonna be a battle, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be about a lot more than just the talent that's on the floor in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about your X's and O's, the coaches, their game plan, like how tired guys are. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So don't forget that, my people. But CJ, man, we made it to the good part of the episode. Would you like to do your betting segment today, sir? Do you have any good picks for us?
Yeah, man. I think this is gonna be a little interesting one. It's gonna be a little homer pick for you. You know what I'm saying? I bet on
Oh wow,
I
wow.
bet
Okay.
I did a same game parlay for the Lakers and Mavs. Like we were saying earlier, I think AD is gonna have an incredible game. So I took AD's points rebounds, did the over for that,
Ooh.
and I also think Luca, first game playing back since getting traded, I think he's gonna have an incredible game as well. So I did his points, rebounds, assists. 47.5 for Luca over, and AD's
Okay.
was 36.5 points
Okay, dude.
rebounds.
I did Luca triple double. That's it.
Okay.
I think plus 325. That's what I got. It's a parlay in itself. But he's got to get 10 in three different categories. Don't matter. We can get a steal and a block. If he has 10 blocks, that's cool. But I know the points gonna be there. I know the assists are gonna be there. He might be kind of iffy with the rebounds. Um, but to your point, man, I think the Mavericks might double him. But he's gonna make sure he gets his, and he's gonna be prepared to hoop tonight. So recapping the last time, I did Nuggets money line. They unfortunately lost to the Spurs, but we did have Trey Young, 36.5 points and assists, and that ended up smacking against the Mavericks with the AD game winner. So that's the little recap for me. Went 1-1. I'm trying to go just want to know, on my triple doubles. A disclaimer: I have not hit one yet, but this one I feel confident in. It's it's on a player I believe in, and I think he's gonna be hyped up for this one.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of recapping last week for me. Obviously, I had the Trey Young points assists. He hit. Zubac, I did points rebounds. He didn't hit that night. I think he got like 27. I think he got close. So the line was 27 or 28 and a half, and he just barely missed. But yeah, went 1-1 as well. Been doing decent. I don't know what my record is. I kind of lost track, but I would say it's probably like 500 or around 500. So not too bad.
Better
Can't
than
complain.
mine for sure.
Can't complain.
For You've swept like twice. You've had a
Yeah,
couple one on ones. Rarely do you come back and
like
all
none
the
have
picks
hit.
are. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
only a few times that's happened. But for me, I've been on some cold streaks. I've had a few hits though, for sure. I've had a few hits. I think I had Maxi, had Cade, I had Trey a couple times, and Zoo with you. I think I hit a parlay on Sabonis as well when we did a Warriors same game.
yeah.
Bonus like rebounds, I think it was. So I've had a few good picks. Going with Luca triple double, keeping it simple and straight to the point. But yeah, Nuggets in disarray. Mavericks playing the Lakers. Thunder still winning games. Yeah, What a crazy week in the NBA so far.
I have
But you
one
got planned.
little betting question. You know,
Okay, what you got?
we've been betting all season, right? We've had our betting segment for probably say like half the year at least, maybe 3/4 of the year. Who is a player next year that is on your no bet list? Like who is someone that you will not
No
bet on
bet. Like no bet.
like you're not betting
Man.
on them? Is there anyone like that for one? Like for this
I
upcoming season? Like next
um no, nobody's banned.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have one. Sorry, I have one. Jokic triple double is banned. I know he's gonna do it, but I haven't taken it since. I know he's gonna have a lot next season. I'm sure it'll cash for you if you want to take it. But anytime I've touched that, it's turned to absolute coal, not gold, coal. It sounds the same. Gold, coal,
Yeah.
gold, coal, not the same. Two different, substances. So,
Yeah.
I've gotten coal from Jokic, taking his triple doubles. So I'm done, man. I'm done with it. What about you? You
Um.
know, too. I'm like Jokic triple double. I'm
Yeah.
like,
No.
oh, he only had 7 points tonight. Like his season low
Right.
tonight.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, probably Cat. Cat started off
Yeah.
really well with him. I usually, for reference, I usually kind of like stick with the same people that I've been betting on. So I bet on Cat a lot at the beginning of the season when he was eating, and I felt like that kind of rolled into like the next weeks and stuff. But like there was times I'm like, oh yeah, this is an easy cash, and like he just would not have that great of a game. So, not saying he's banned, but he's one of those players where I'm like, okay, like let me see if
You got
he
to
played
catch
a
him in
back
a
to
hot
back,
streak
or let me
for
see if
sure.
who are you going against, because usually I do that, but it was at a point where he was just dominating on the boards and he was damn near getting like 20 and 15 or whatever it is. So I was like, oh, bet like just being more aware of the lines and stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, probably Cat just right now, just because I was so high on him earlier this season. But yeah, that, off the top of my
Okay.
head, I usually because I'm not like I said, I don't I stray away from like betting on like people that I'm not thinking that they're gonna be good or whatever. Like the
Right, exactly. Like,
bench
there's no
player
reason
to
to
hit
take
like a
a
three or
random bench
something.
player.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Just because I don't know,
yeah,
but yeah. So like you said, not not
yeah.
not necessarily banned, but definitely one of those players where I'm like, okay, yeah, just got to look
You gotta
into it
watch
a little
out
bit
for
more.
that.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely slowed down in the second half of the year. I think you were cashing
Yeah, I
before the
was.
All Star break, but post All Star break, I think it's been up and down. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about Cat as much on here, but I think he'll still make All NBA though. So definitely stick to betting on All NBA players. I know the lines are higher, but there's a reason for that.
Right. They could get that shit in like a half. It's crazy.
Two quarter, yeah, two
Yeah.
quarters or 3 quarters. So yeah, that's how I say the over's never dead. Um, it's hard taking unders too. You won't really hear a lot of unders from me and CJ, man. Ooh
Nah.
wee,
Oh
that's
yeah,
a plan.
I was about to say I kind of wanted to talk about that too because I feel like it makes you like watch the game differently. Like I rarely take people's unders like in any sport. Honestly, that's just me personally. I don't, just
I hate
depending
betting
on
on people to do bad.
right, exactly. Like you're kind of like praying for their downfall in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. But
That's
I'm
what that
like, why would I not want to see Luca put up 30?
right.
Like that's part of it, though. That's part of it. It's not to say that the under has just as much percentage of hitting as the over. So,
Over, right? Yeah, I think it's
so
like
it's,
a,
it's
a mental
no
thing for
emotion.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for me it's mental, but I try to separate it still. I'll take unders sometimes, but they get sweaty for sure. Like I'll take like under strikeouts, like under Ks, and I'm like, ooh, this is sweaty. This is
sweaty.
sweaty.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I like a good
yeah,
play.
yeah, bro. It's always fun. It makes the game a little more interesting. But yeah, man. Was there anything else you wanted to let the people know before we head out of here?
Nah, man, Lake Show's still in the building. We're gonna go to the playoffs and get ready. I already got a parlay cooked up for it, so probably gonna be Luca, Shea points, Tatum points, Giannis points. See if
For
that hits for you.
for the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay,
Oh,
okay.
it'll be like they got to score like 150. I'm sure it'll be at like 32, all of them. But
Mm.
I'm taking it. I feel like it's the time where those guys go out there, they play 45 minutes. But other than that, man, just looking excited or feeling excited for the playoffs, looking forward to it. Had that like flipped, but
No, yeah,
never
you
mind.
good.
What about you, bro? You have anything else you want to tell the people?
Nah, man, just hopefully y'all are catching these last bit of games. I was telling the boys that this is the time to really be locked in with the league, just because it's getting to playoffs, and all these games matter for a lot of these teams. So just watch basketball, man. It's kind of what
Yeah,
been advocating it all season. What I'm saying? Been up and down. The ratings are quote unquote down, but like it's been great. It's been a great season. Glad I'm able to chop it up with you, 2-3 times a week. So been locked in. We've been consistent. So just ready for the playoffs, bro. Ready for all our predictions. Kind of reviewing, like actually being able to lock in with because there's so many games in a day. You can actually lock in and watch a whole series and see what they're doing, and so it's gonna be
right.
fun. I'm
Yeah,
I'm,
it's a
I'm
lot
excited to
easier.
see, and I'm probably gonna be on shot creator heavy come playoff time, looking at all the stats, and I might bring a
Yeah, man.
little like trivia or something with you about like some of the stats of certain players, or like mid-range or 3-point corners, shit
Yeah,
like that.
you
So
got the numbers and stuff now. It like
yeah.
shows you on the hot zones and stuff. Like I remember. So
So yeah, no, just that, man.
exciting.
Just watch these hoops, ready for the playoffs. Kind of been preaching it all this season. Just ready to see what the boys can do this time of year. So just ready for it, man. Ready to prove the doubters wrong. Ready to show people what we're made of. So can't wait.
100%, 100p, bro. I'm proud of you, dog. I appreciate your time and you know, and sign us out. Like, I guess this is another episode of Three Man Weave. If you guys like the video, you got to leave us a like, comment, subscribe. Super important. Like I said, is it depth? Superstar, which team are you building? Obviously, you can leave that in the comment section. But we appreciate you guys if you guys are rocking with us, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.